کاوش مدیا.
Spend a little time actually talking about the individuals I looked at and how they then used irregular warfare to compete with the U.S. So on the left, we have Valery Gerasimov, the chief of the Army staff. In the middle, we have Zheng Yuzhou, the vice chairman of the CMC, China's primary military body. And then on the right, we have now deceased Qasem Soleimani, but also looked pretty carefully at his successor, Ismail Khani, as well, who was his deputy for the Quds Force. In addition, they've built a pretty sophisticated standoff capability. But let me just talk in terms of irregular warfare. Let me just talk for a moment about one of the Iranians' chief enemies, which is Saudi Arabia. We could say the same thing of the Israelis. Could even say the same thing for the U.S. in this area. There's been sort of a constant war over the past several years between the Saudis and the Iranians. The form it is generally taken, though, is an irregular one, which is the Iranians have provided, instead of conducting with one notable minor exception, this is the attacks against Abqaiq and Khurais, which did involve Iranian land attack cruise missiles, which likely were shot from Iranian territory, as well as some drones on UAVs that were shot probably from Iraqi territory, or at least partly from Iraqi territory. The Iranians have generally not engaged directly the Saudi military and the Saudi government. Instead, what they've done is provided technology, training, advice, assistance, money. We saw strategic level planning. Soleimani actually flew to Moscow, despite UN sanctions, in the summer of 2015, sat down with Shoigu, Putin, and others to map out the strategic plan, flew back, and then when the war began in 2015, when the Russian direct involvement in the war began, the Iranians then ran the maneuver element. So we had strategic planning, we had operational and tactical level coordination, so that you could time your and target your bomb drops with a maneuver element of Hezbollah, for example, moving into a neighborhood in Aleppo just after those bombs had dropped. So that's really a good example of strategic, operational, and tactical level cooperation between the Russians and the Iranians in the prosecution of a military campaign. And, you know, we've seen other examples of these countries in the face of the possibility of economic sanctions or economic coercion, probably another element of irregular warfare. The Chinese and the Russians have supported the Iranians and the Iranian economy.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند